The Zephyrian guards had expected screaming by now, perhaps begging. Certainly the distinctive chemical tang of fear pheromones that all civilized species released when facing starvation. Instead, the human prisoner sat cross-legged in his cell, eyes closed, breathing with an infuriating steadiness that made Commander Vex's chitinous plates itch with frustration. "It's been 6 cycles," hissed Lieutenant Crix, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence. "No food, minimal water. The human should be weakening." Vex studied the readouts on his datapad. The prisoner's vital signs remained remarkably stable. Perhaps humans are more resilient than our intelligence suggested. The human's name was Marcus Chen, captured during a skirmish in the Outer Rim. His ship had been destroyed, his crew dead, and he'd been the only survivor pulled from the wreckage. The Zephyrians had planned to break him through interrogation, but standard torture methods had proven ineffective. Their species simply lacked the proper pain receptors that worked on most galactic races, so they'd resorted to the universal constant: hunger. Every species needed food. Every species feared starvation. Every species except, apparently, humans. "Sir," Crix's voice took on a nervous warble. "Perhaps we should reconsider." A bone-chilling roar echoed through the detention level, cutting off the lieutenant's words. Both guards tensed, their translator implants struggling to process the sound. It came from the direction of the prison's lower levels, where they kept the Shadow Maw. The Shadow Maw was Detention Station Col 7's secret weapon, a creature from the deepest trenches of Zephyr Prime, standing 3 meters tall with razor-sharp claws and jaws that could crush starship hull plating. It served as both executioner and psychological warfare tool. Prisoners who heard its roars in the depths below often broke before any formal interrogation began. "The beast grows restless," Vex muttered. "The feeding schedule, another roar, this one different, shorter, almost pained." Both guards looked at each other, then at the human's cell. Marcus Chen's eyes had opened. For the first time in 6 cycles, he smiled. "You know," Marcus said conversationally, his voice carrying easily through the containment field, "I've been listening to your pet down there for days. Fascinating creature. Apex predator from the sound of it." Vex felt his secondary heart skip a beat. Humans weren't supposed to understand Zephyrian without translation implants. Yet something in the prisoner's tone suggested perfect comprehension. "Where I come from," Marcus continued, standing and stretching with casual ease despite days without food, "we have a saying: hunger is the best sauce." He looked directly at Vex. "Your monster made a mistake. It let me know exactly where it was." The lights flickered. Emergency klaxons began wailing throughout the station. Vex's datapad exploded with alerts. Life support compromised on level 7. Containment breach. Structural damage to the Shadow Maw's enclosure. "Impossible," Crix whispered. "The containment field is designed to keep things in, not out," Marcus said. "Your people never figured out that humans are persistence hunters, did you? We don't just wait for food to come to us. We track it. We study it. We find its weaknesses." Through the detention level's observation ports, they could see smoke rising from the lower levels. The emergency lighting cast everything in hellish red. And somewhere in that chaos, something was screaming. But it wasn't the Shadow Maw. 6 days, Marcus said, his smile widening to show teeth that suddenly seemed far too sharp. 6 days I've been listening to that thing prowl around down there. Learning its patterns, its feeding times, its territorial markers. Did you know that Shadow Maws have a blind spot directly above their heads? Evolutionary quirk from hunting in trenches. Vex's hand moved to his sidearm, but Marcus held up a calming gesture. "Oh, I wouldn't worry about me escaping," he said. "I'm exactly where I want to be. But you might want to check on your pet." The detention level shuddered as something massive impacted the floor below. Dust rained from the ceiling. Through the structural supports, they could hear the distinctive sound of rending metal and the wet snap of breaking bone. "You see," Marcus continued, settling back into his meditation pose, "humans have been apex predators since before we learned to make fire. We just got creative about it. Your Shadow Maw is an ambush predator, powerful but dependent on surprise and familiar terrain. Strip those advantages away and it's just another animal." The sounds from below had stopped. In the sudden silence, they could hear something being dragged across metal flooring. "The thing about persistence hunting," Marcus said, closing his eyes again, "is that you don't need to be faster or stronger than your prey. You just need to be smarter and hungrier." Commander Vex's communicator crackled to life. Commander, we have a situation in the lower levels. The Shadow Maw is, sir. You need to see this. When the security team reached level 7, they found the Shadow Maw's enclosure torn open from the outside. The creature itself lay in the center of its territory, massive head twisted at an impossible angle. Its own claws had been used to gut it with surgical precision. Nearby, a small fire burned, fuel siphoned from emergency lighting, ignited with sparks from damaged electrical systems. Over the flames, strips of fresh meat roasted on improvised spits made from the creature's own bones. The human had never left his cell. The containment field had never been breached. Yet somehow he had hunted and killed the station's most dangerous predator, while confined in a box barely large enough to lie down in. When they returned to question him, Marcus was finishing his meal. He looked up at the assembled guards with satisfied eyes and wiped his mouth with the back of his hand. "Thank you for the cooking time," he said politely. "I was getting rather hungry. Now then, shall we discuss the terms of my release? I believe you'll find me much more reasonable on a full stomach, Commander." Vex stared at the human prisoner and realized that everything they thought they knew about Earth's dominant species had been catastrophically wrong. They weren't just persistent hunters. They were persistence incarnate, and they had been patient enough to wait for the perfect moment to remind the galaxy exactly why that should terrify them.